The cry of a newborn pierced the stillness of the early morning in the humble mud hut, nestled at the edge of a Mala village. Margaret, her face glistening with sweat and exhaustion, lay on a raffia mat. Her breath was shallow, her strength nearly gone. The village midwife, an elderly, kind-eyed woman named Mama Esther, gently wrapped the tiny child in a faded Ankara cloth and smiled softly as she handed her over. "It's a girl," Mama Esther whispered with a warm, proud smile. "A beautiful one, like the stars after Harmattan rain." Margaret weakly lifted her head. Her eyes searched the child's face, waiting for joy to rise in her chest. But something felt wrong. The baby's eyes didn't follow movement. She blinked slowly, yet did not respond to the flicker of light from the fire beside them. Mama Esther, frowning, waved her wrinkled hand before the baby's face. No reaction. A deep sigh escaped her lips. "Chineke," she muttered, before turning to Margaret with a heavy heart. She does not see." "What?" Margaret's voice cracked. "What do you mean?" "Your daughter. She is blind." A cold silence fell over the hut. Margaret froze. Her breath caught in her chest. Her eyes locked on the tiny face cradled in her arms. So innocent, so peaceful, yet her tiny hands moved with no purpose, grasping at air, as if reaching for something that was never there. Outside, the village women waited for news. But Margaret didn't need to hear their voices to know what would come next. The cruel whispers, the gossip passed from compound to compound like a plague. "A cursed child, a sign from the gods. Who will marry a blind girl? She will bring sorrow to her mother's house." Margaret clenched her jaw, tears burning behind her eyes. Her entire body trembled. Her husband, a farmer named Abuka, had died from a snakebite just months before. She had no one. Now, with a blind child in her arms, the world would see her not just as a widow, but as a woman cursed by fate. That night, long after the fires in the village had died down, and the owls began their haunting songs, Margaret rose silently. She wrapped the baby in a cloth, cradling her close. Her feet moved slowly but purposefully across the darkened village paths and into the sacred forest where the elders forbade children to play. The moon hung low in the sky like an ancient witness. Crickets sang, and the distant howls of wild dogs echoed through the trees. But Margaret didn't stop. Her steps quickened. Her heart beat like a talking drum in her chest. Finally, she reached the old Iroko tree, the tree where tales said spirits passed in the night. She looked around, hoping, perhaps, that someone might appear, someone to stop her. But there was only the wind, rustling the leaves like whispers from the ancestors. With tears pouring freely, she knelt and laid the baby gently on a bed of soft grass beside the tree. The child whimpered, sensing her mother's absence already. "I'm sorry," Margaret choked, her voice barely a whisper. I cannot do this alone." She turned, her back to the crying child, her eyes shut tight. "Just walk away," she whispered to herself. Someone will find her, someone will love her. But in the deepest part of her spirit, she knew the truth. No one came to this part of the forest. Not at night, not ever. With one final tormented glance, Margaret ran. She ran with the weight of shame and sorrow pounding with every step. Behind her, the cries of the child pierced the forest like a sacred wail, one that would be remembered by the trees, the winds, and the spirits. Not far away, the steady gallop of a horse slowed. A man returning from Eziyama village had been treating children ill with fever. His name was Dr. Samuel Ume, a humble physician known across the region, not just for his healing hands, but for the compassion in his heart. He stopped. He heard it. The sharp, helpless cry of a child in the darkness. Turning his horse carefully, he followed the sound through the tall bush. The cry grew louder near the Iroko tree. And there, like a gift from destiny, he saw her, a tiny bundle lying alone, wrapped in cloth. He jumped down, his brows furrowed in disbelief. "Chineke, who would leave a child here?" he whispered, gently lifting the fragile baby into his arms. Her small body was weak, cold, but alive. The moment he touched her, the crying softened, as if she knew that, at last, safety had come. Dr. Samuel held her close. "Don't worry, my dear. You will not be alone." He climbed back onto his horse and rode into the fading night, the baby resting quietly against his chest. By the time he reached his home, the sky was streaked with orange. His wife, Mary, sat beside the fire, roasting yams, eyes heavy with worry. When she saw him arrive, with a child in his arms, she stood in shock. "Samuel!" she gasped, rushing to him. Whose baby is this?" She was abandoned, near the old Iroko tree, he said solemnly. I couldn't leave her. Mary took the child into her arms, her heart instantly swelling with emotion. She's beautiful, she whispered. I want to call her Grace, Samuel said, brushing a finger across the baby's cheek, because despite everything, she has survived. Tears filled Mary's eyes. Grace and Camdillum, she said softly, the grace that belongs to us. She will bring light into this home. That night, Grace slept in a house full of warmth, not alone under the stars. She slept wrapped in love. Though she did not see it with her eyes, she felt it in her spirit. Knew it. The years passed. Grace grew under the loving care of Dr. Samuel and Mary. Though she was blind, she was never broken. She learned to feel the world with her hands, to listen deeper than most, and to understand the hearts of people in ways others could not. One morning, as birds chirped and goats bleated in the yard, Mary called out gently, Grace, come inside. My dear. Grace, now a bright and graceful little girl, turned her head toward the sound and smiled. She had memorized every part of the house and walked confidently, her bare feet gliding across the red clay floor. Yes, Mama. Mary took her daughter's hand and pressed something into her palm. I have something special for you. Grace's fingers traced the shape. It was a smooth wooden flute, hand-carved with tiny unthinkable markings. A flute? Yes, Mary said, her voice warm. Music is seen not only with eyes, but with the heart. That day, Grace sat under the mango tree, the flute resting against her lips. Her first notes were sharp and unsure, like a baby bird testing its wings. But day by day, the forest around their compound began to hum with melody, and though she could not see, Grace brought a light into the world that even the sun could not rival. She learned quickly. The sweet sound of Grace's flute began to drift through the air like evening breeze rustling the leaves of an old Iroko tree. Her music touched the hearts of everyone who heard it, from the women frying akara by the roadside to the children playing 10-10 under the mango tree. Her songs carried something rare, something healing. One warm evening, as the golden sun set behind the red rooftops of their bungalow in Enugu, Dr. Samuel stood by the window, arms folded, eyes on Grace. She sat beneath the guava tree, flute pressed to her lips, eyes closed. She looked so peaceful, so in tune with the world around her, despite not being able to see it. A troubling thought crept into Dr. Samuel's mind. What if she can see? He was a seasoned doctor, respected all over the East. He had treated malaria, handled complicated births, even stitched up injuries from Okada accidents. But Grace's blindness had always puzzled him. There had never been a full medical explanation. That night, long after everyone had gone to bed, Dr. Samuel sat under the weak yellow bulb in his small clinic, poring over his oldest medical books, case studies and journals. His eyes ached from hours of reading, but finally, he found something, a glimmer of hope, a rare condition, reversible with delicate surgery. The next morning, he took Grace into his clinic. He ran detailed tests, adjusting lenses, shining lights, checking reactions. His hands trembled slightly as he held the results. He whispered to himself in disbelief, there is hope. Grace's condition wasn't permanent. The right surgery could restore her sight, but there was a problem. Money. The surgery was expensive, far beyond what his small practice could afford. Still, Dr. Samuel had made up his mind. He would do whatever it took. Sell the clinic if he had to. Grace deserved to see the world she had only known through touch and sound. Later that evening, as he sat in the clinic staring at her test results, Mary walked in. She saw the worry etched on his face. Samuel, what is it? She asked, gently touching his shoulder. He looked up slowly. Grace can see again, but the surgery, it's costly. We can't afford it. Tears welled up in Mary's eyes. She sat beside him, clutching his hand tightly. Then we'll find a way, she said. We always have. We will again. Samuel nodded, determination returning to his eyes. If I must sell this clinic, I will. Grace is not just our daughter. She is our light. The next weeks were filled with struggle. He visited old friends, requested loans, even listed their home for sale. Still, the money wasn't enough. Hope was slipping until one day a black SUV pulled up outside the clinic. An older man stepped out in a starched white caftan, his walking stick tapping against the tiled floor. It was Mr. Benson, a wealthy businessman Dr. Samuel had once saved during a life-threatening asthma attack in a remote village. I hear you need help, doctor, he said, his deep voice calm. How much? Dr. Samuel hesitated, not wanting to appear desperate. It's for my daughter. A surgery. She's blind. But Mr. Benson raised a hand, stopping him. You saved me without asking for a kobo. Let me return the favor. Tears rolled down Samuel's cheeks as he clasped the man's hand. Thank you. May God bless you, sir. The hospital in Abuja was clean and quiet. In the ward, Grace lay on a white bed, her tiny fingers gripping Mary's hand. Mama, Will, it hurt? She asked, her voice shaking. Mary kissed her forehead. No, my sweet daughter. You'll sleep, and when you wake, you'll see the world. Grace's lip trembled. And I'll see you? Mary's voice cracked. Yes, my child. You'll see me. Dr. Samuel entered, masked, gloved, and focused. The nurses wheeled Grace away, and he followed them into the operating theater, silently praying as he held the door. Hours passed. Mary sat in the waiting area, clutching her rosary, whispering prayers to the heavens. When the doors finally opened, Dr. Samuel walked out slowly, face unreadable. Mary rushed to him. Samuel? He took a deep breath and smiled. It was successful. Mary wept, collapsing into his arms. 2 days later, the bandages were removed. The nurse gently unwound the white cloth from Grace's eyes as Dr. Samuel and Mary stood. By Grace, Dr. Samuel said softly. Can you see me? Grace blinked, her lashes fluttering. Slowly, her wide brown eyes scanned the room. Then she gasped, Mama, Papa, I see you. Mary broke into tears, clutching her daughter close. Dr. Samuel smiled, his heart too full for words. Grace turned toward a mirror nearby. She reached out and touched her reflection, awe filling her face. This is me. Mary stroked her hair. Yes, my love, this is you. Grace turned and hugged Dr. Samuel tightly. Thank you, Papa. And for the first time, she saw the man who had rescued her from death, loved her as his own, and given her the gift of sight. Far away, in a dusty village in Kogi State, Margaret sat by her doorway, watching the sun melt behind the hills. Her lap was empty, her womb silent. She had spent years searching for another child, visiting herbalists, fasting, pleading with prophets. Why, God, she whispered, why did you take my children from me? A voice came from behind. Or maybe, because you threw away the one he gave you. Margaret turned. It was Mama Esther, the old midwife. You think I didn't know what you did? Mama Esther said, her voice sharp. You abandoned that child in the forest like a goat. And now, you want children? You are reaping what you sowed. Margaret fell to her knees. I was scared, alone. I didn't know what to do. You were selfish, Mama Esther spat. And now, the gods have judged you. Tears poured from Margaret's eyes as she pounded the earth. I want her back. I want to find her. Mama Esther shook her head. It's been years. Do you even know if she's alive? But Margaret was determined. She sold her belongings, tied her wrapper tightly, and began a journey. She traveled across towns, asking at markets, churches, and roadside stalls. One day, in bustling Onitsha market, she overheard 2 women gossiping. You hear say that big doctor for Enugu. Him adopt blind Pikinwesi now? Margaret's heart stopped. She rushed to them. Please, where is this doctor? They frowned, confused by her desperation. Dr. Samuel, one replied. He lives in Enugu. The girl, she can see now. Tears of joy flooded Margaret's face. Grace, my Grace. She arrived in Enugu, dusty and weak, and stood outside the clinic, heart pounding. She stepped inside. A nurse looked up. Good afternoon, Ma. Do you have an appointment? I must speak to Dr. Samuel, please. It's about his daughter. The nurse hesitated, then nodded. Wait here. Minutes later, a tall man stepped out. His presence commanded the room. Dr. Samuel, you wanted to see me? Margaret's knees buckled. Please, doctor, I've come for my daughter. He frowned. Your daughter? Grace, she's mine. I gave birth to her, and I made a mistake. I left her, but I'm here now. I want to make it right. Dr. Samuel laughed bitterly. You're the one who left that helpless baby to die like a stray dog? Margaret wept. I was young, scared. You don't get to come back. Now and claim her, he said coldly. She is not yours. She is mine. She has a mother. She has a father. She doesn't need you, but she deserves the truth. Margaret cried. Let me see her, just once. Let me tell her who I am. Dr. Samuel's eyes burned. She doesn't know you, and she doesn't need to. You left her once. I will not let you hurt her again. Scene. Dr. Samuel's front porch. Evening, doctor. Samuel took a step closer, his face tight with controlled rage. If you ever come near my daughter again, he said through gritted teeth, I will call the police. Now get out. Margaret's heart shattered. Her legs trembled beneath her. She opened her mouth to plead again, her lips quivering. but Dr. Samuel pointed at the door. Out, he thundered, his voice echoing into the evening like a final judgment. Tears poured down Margaret's cheeks as she staggered to her feet. Before stepping out, she turned to look at him one last time. Doctor, one day she will know the truth. And when that day comes, I pray she forgives me. Dr. Samuel didn't reply. He just stared, his face stiff with fury. As Margaret disappeared into the streetlights of Surulera, he exhaled deeply, his chest heaving as though the weight of years pressed against it. He had protected Grace all these years, shielded her from shadows of the past, and he was not about to let the woman who threw her away destroy her again. Dr. Samuel walked into his compound flat home, the one filled with memories of laughter and lullabies. He dropped his bag onto the chair with a thud and sighed heavily. Mary, his wife of 18 years, was setting the table for dinner, humming a quiet Yoruba hymn under her breath, but her hands froze the moment she saw his face. "Samuel," she said, softly, "wetin happen? You look troubled." He sat heavily, rubbing his forehead like he was trying to massage away the truth. She came. Mary's brows drew together in confusion. "Who?" Dr. Samuel looked up, his jaw clenched. "Grace's biological mother. The woman who left her to die in that forest near the old cocoa farm in Ibadan." Mary's hands trembled. She sat beside him quickly, her heart galloping. "Oh, Samuel, I knew one day this would happen." Dr. Samuel scoffed bitterly. The audacity! She even fell on her knees begging to take Grace back. Mary gasped and gripped her husband's hand. "Take Grace? No, oh, she's our daughter. That girl brought light into our lives when we had nothing but grief. I cannot lose her." Dr. Samuel turned to her. His eyes softened, and he placed his hands gently over hers. "We won't lose her. I swear it. I won't let that woman take her from us." Mary's eyes welled with tears. "But what if one day Grace wants to know? What if she starts asking?" Dr. Samuel shook his head slowly. "We raised her with love. That love will speak louder than any story." Scene. Upstairs, by the stairs. Unbeknownst to them, Grace stood hidden behind the wall at the staircase. She had been on her way downstairs to play her morning piano when she heard her parents speaking. At first she was confused, but as she listened, her world unraveled. Her breath hitched. She covered her mouth to stifle the sob that rose from her chest. She wasn't their real daughter. She was abandoned. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she slowly backed away, her body trembling. Every sweet memory of childhood, Mama Mary's, bedtime lullabies in Yoruba, Papa's warm jokes, the mango tree swings in the compound. All of it now felt like a lie. She ran to her room, slammed the door shut, and collapsed onto the bed. Scene. Grace's bedroom. Night. She sobbed into her pillow. "Who am I?" she whispered to herself. "Why did my real mother leave me? Why didn't Papa and Mama tell me?" The night dragged endlessly. By morning, Grace had made a decision, one that thundered in her heart. She waited to find the woman who birthed her, even if it broke her more. Scene. Kitchen. Morning. The morning sun streamed through the louved windows, but the house felt cold. Mary moved around the kitchen in silence. Something was wrong. Grace hadn't come down to play the piano. No singing. No humming. Mary wiped her hands on her Ankara apron and climbed the stairs. She knocked on Grace's door. "My love, are you awake?" No answer. "Grace, it's almost 10 a.m. You haven't eaten anything." From behind the door came a voice Mary didn't recognize. "Go away." Mary's heart dropped. "Grace," she asked gently. "My child, what is it?" "You're a liar!" Grace screamed. "Both you and Papa are liars. I don't want to see either of you." Mary staggered back, her hand trembling on the doorknob. "Oh, God, she knows." "Grace, please, let me explain." "I don't want to hear anything from you," Grace shouted. "Just leave me alone." Mary rushed downstairs in tears. Her hands shook as she picked up her phone and called Dr. Samuel. "She knows," she whispered when he picked up. "She found out." Scene. Samuel's clinic. Moments later. Doctor. Samuel dropped his stethoscope in shock. "I'm coming home now," he said, already halfway out the door. He drove like a man possessed, his hands gripping the wheel. Who told her? How? He had wanted to wait until she was grown, until she was ready. Now the truth had arrived like an uninvited spirit. Scene. Grace's bedroom door. "Grace," he called, knocking gently. "It's Papa. Please open the door. Let's talk." "No." Dr. Samuel closed his eyes and leaned his forehead against the wood. "My child, we didn't lie to you. We protected you. You betrayed me." She cried. "You knew all this time," Dr. Samuel's voice cracked. "Because we didn't want you to carry the pain of being unwanted." Silence. Just soft sobs from inside. "She needs time," Mary whispered behind him. her hands clasped in prayer. Scene. Dr. Samuel's office. The next day, Doctor. Samuel sat at his desk, but his mind was elsewhere. He hadn't slept. His heart ached. Would Grace ever forgive them? Then, knock, knock, come in. The door opened. Grace stepped in slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes were swollen. Dr. Samuel stood, frozen. I forgive you and Mama, she said. Her voice soft but steady. You do? Yes. You are my parents. You raised me. You loved me. That is what matters. Tears spilled from his eyes as he embraced her. I will never go back to her, Grace whispered. You are my real family. Dr. Samuel wept openly. Thank you, my baby. Thank you. Scene. Clinic. 2 days later, just as peace returned to their home, another storm erupted. Dr. Samuel was in his office when his secretary burst in. Doctor, there's a woman outside causing a scene. Tell her to wait. She's shouting. People are gathering. Then a voice pierced through the hallway. Dr. Samuel, you thief! You stole my baby! Dr. Samuel's blood ran cold. The door flung open. Margaret stood there, her face twisted with rage. You think you can take what's mine and get away with it? Dr. Samuel's voice dropped into a deep, thunderous tone. You abandoned her in the bush like trash, and now you want her back? I am her mother. You were her death sentence. The room fell silent. You want to go to the press? He said. Go ahead, but tell them everything. Tell them how you left your own blood to die alone. Margaret's lips quivered. I'll get her back, she whispered. No, you won't, Dr. Samuel said, standing tall. Because this is Africa, and in this land, parenthood is not just biology, it is sacrifice. Dr. Samuel's face darkened, his brows knitting together in fury. Today should be the last time you ever step into my office, he said, his voice like thunder. If you ever come near my family again, I will make sure you are locked up. For child abandonment. Margaret's eyes widened in disbelief. You wouldn't dare. Dr. Samuel leaned forward slowly, his gaze piercing. Try me. Margaret's breath hitched. She knew he wasn't bluffing. He had the power, the reputation, and most importantly, the truth. Her pride was shattered, but she masked her pain behind cold defiance. With a sharp turn, she stormed out of his office, slamming the door so hard that the walls shook. Left alone, Dr. Samuel sat down heavily. His hands trembled slightly as he gripped the armrests. The rage in his chest burned hot, but beneath it was fear, not for himself, but for Grace. He knew Margaret wasn't finished. She had stirred the hornet's nest, and the battle for Grace's future was just beginning. That evening, in their home in Guarimpa, Dr. Samuel entered the living room with his shoulders slumped and his face tight with tension. He unbuttoned his coat and sank onto the couch, rubbing his temples. The day had been long, and Margaret's venomous words still echoed in his ears. Mary, who had been stirring a pot of egusi soup in the kitchen, noticed him and came over quickly, wiping her hands on a cloth. Samuel, what is it? She asked. Concern etched in her face as she sat beside him. He let out a deep, tired sigh. She came back, Mary. That woman, she came to my office again. Mary's eyes widened. Margaret? What did she say this time? He shook his head slowly, anger simmering just beneath the surface. She caused a scene, again, right in front of my patients, accused me of stealing her child. She even threatened to tell the world that we kidnapped Grace, Mary gasped, clutching her chest. After everything we've done for that girl, after all these years, how dare she? Dr. Samuel nodded solemnly. She's determined to take Grace back, but I won't let her. That woman left her in the forest like a discarded rag doll. She has no right, none. Mary's heart pounded. The thought of losing Grace, the daughter they had raised with love and devotion, made her stomach twist with fear. Samuel, she said firmly, gripping his hands, we need to go to the police. We adopted Grace legally when we found her. We have all the papers. If Margaret tries anything, we must be ready. He looked at her thoughtful. Then he nodded. You're right. We can't afford to take any chances. The next morning, Dr. Samuel drove to the police station. It was a bustling building in Woos, where people shuffled in and out, seeking justice or refuge. He met with Inspector Collins, a tall, broad-shouldered officer with a commanding presence. After explaining everything, from the night they found Grace crying near a forest path in Kuje, to the legal adoption and the years of care and education they had given her, Dr. Samuel waited. Inspector Collins listened carefully, jotting down notes. You did the right thing by coming here, Doctor, he said finally. According to the law, that woman has no claim over the child. She abandoned her. If she shows up again to cause trouble, contact us immediately. We'll handle it. Dr. Samuel exhaled, the weight on his chest slightly lighter. Thank you, Inspector. I just want to protect my daughter. The officer gave a firm nod. You've given her a home, Doctor. You've given her hope. No one can take that from you. A week passed quietly. Then, one afternoon, while Dr. Samuel reviewed patient files in his office, his secretary walked in, her expression uneasy. Doctor, she's here again. His body tensed. Margaret? The secretary nodded. Yes, but she seems different this time. She's not shouting. Puzzled, Dr. Samuel stood up. He walked to the reception area, bracing himself for another confrontation. Margaret stood there. Her body was rigid, but her face no longer held anger. Her eyes, once sharp and accusing, now looked hollow and wet. Then, to his shock, she dropped to her knees. Doctor, she whispered, I beg you, please forgive me. Dr. Samuel stood still, stunned. He had prepared for insults, maybe more threats. But not this, not tears. He narrowed his eyes. Why should I forgive you? She lifted her head slowly, tears spilling down her cheeks. Because I've realized I was wrong. I should never have left my daughter. But I didn't do it because I didn't love her. Then why? His voice was low but firm. Margaret took a deep breath. Because of shame. Because of fear. When Grace was born blind, my village, Ahaba, in Imo State, turned against me. They called me the mother of a cursed child. No man wanted to come near me. Even my own family said I had brought disgrace. I was mocked, insulted, alone. I thought if I left her, I could start over. Her voice cracked. But not a day has gone by that I haven't regretted it. Dr. Samuel's jaw clenched. He saw the raw pain on her face, the regret that time hadn't erased. I don't want to take her from you, Margaret said. I know she belongs with you. I just want a chance to say I'm sorry. To tell her that I was weak, not wicked. He studied her for a long moment, then finally said, Stand up, Margaret. She hesitated, then rose slowly. I will forgive you, he said. Not for your sake, for Grace's. But whether she forgives you, that's her choice. I understand. She whispered, Thank you. But, he warned, don't force your way into her life. Let her decide when, if, she's ready. Margaret placed a hand on her chest. I promise, Doctor. I just want her to know the truth. Later that afternoon, the sun blazed over Abuja as Margaret stood outside. Samuel's home? Her legs trembled as she knocked. The door opened. Grace stood there, beautiful and grown. Her eyes, though sightless, were fierce with curiosity and power. Margaret's breath caught. I am your mother. Silence. Grace's face turned serious. Who? I am the woman who gave birth to you. Who left you? And for that, I am sorry. Her voice cracked. You don't have to forgive me, but please, I need you to know I never stopped thinking about you. Grace stood still, her breath calm, her expression unreadable. She saw nothing, but somehow she felt the sorrow in Margaret's soul. Finally she spoke. I forgive you. Margaret gasped, falling to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Thank you, my child. But, Grace continued, her voice resolute, Dr. Samuel and Mummy Mary, they are my parents. They were there when you weren't. They held me when I cried. They taught me to walk, even though I couldn't see. Margaret nodded through tears. I don't want to take you away from them. I only wanted your forgiveness, so I could breathe again. Grace nodded. Then go and live your life. But know that I'm no longer that helpless child you left in the forest. I am stronger now because they gave me love. Margaret stood, wiping her face. She looked at Grace with a soft smile. You are a light, my daughter. A light I tried to put out. But God saved you. Grace smiled faintly. Yes, he did. And with that, Margaret turned and walked away. Not as an enemy, not as a stranger, but as a mother who had learned a painful lesson. Dear viewers, what lesson did you take from this touching tale of regret, love, and redemption? Let us know in the comments. If this story moved you, give us a thumbs up, share with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe to African Folktale Magic for more compelling, homegrown stories. Stay blessed, and see you in the next one.